president of the Burlington Education Association. I just want to give you a bit of an update for this morning. And correct some misinformation. First of all, there was never agreement on the economic issues. We were inching closer, but we were inching closer before the imposition. But there was no final agreement on that. There was a tentative agreement worked out yesterday morning in terms of high school, a study of the way high school time is used for student learning. There was going to be a committee set up, but that certainly was not the only issue we were dealing with, and we were not going to shortchange the elementary school students. What becomes important and where things sort of fell apart was that we have been asking that a plan be put into place that would give teachers the time they need to do professional work to provide the services one-on-one to students during the school day, which meant that teachers needed to be taken off of non-teaching duties like recess duty, the lunch duty, door duty, and to use teachers the way they're supposed to be used in a school, and that is to provide for the education of the students. And that becomes our elementary school language. It's been in the works for over 3 years. It was an issue that came up last year in negotiations. We backed down last year. We pulled that proposal out of last year's contract, which is how we settled in the 11th hour last year. It's been on the table all year. The fact that some folks seem to think that it was new or they didn't know anything about it, unfortunately, they're not listening to us. We've told them that the elementary school language is crucial. Teachers need to have the time to work both in creating and preparing lessons and services and programs to our students, to work one-on-one with students, and that became part of that elementary school language that was ignored yesterday, and really what really led Ira Lobel to recognize that things were not going to go any further, ended talks, and we then went back to our plan to strike. In terms of, we're looking for a contract that will sort of stop the exodus of teachers. We've lost more than 100 teachers in the last 2+ years, which is affecting the education of the kids. We agree with the board that we need to narrow the achievement gap. But to do that, we need teachers, and we need to be respected, and our skills, knowledge has to be, again, respected. We're the experts. We know what we need to do. We need the time to do it so that the children are not cheated out of the education they deserve. Basically, we need to figure out effective ways to use the time of the school day. That was what has been developed for the elementary schools. That plan should be implemented, and we agreed we would study the issue at the high school for how we can best use the time we have during a school day to provide the services that for our students. In terms of that 8%, I'm sorry, nobody offered us 8%. What do you think, that we wouldn't take 8%? That isn't what the final offer was. So in terms of next steps, we obviously have to sort of think things through a bit, but we want these schools opened again, absolutely. But what we need is for the school board to come back, get serious about the negotiations, recognize what our key issue has been, and that is that time piece, the elementary schools, and to listen to us. And then we can maybe settle this thing.
So you're saying that the board did not offer a 3-year contract at 8% total raises yesterday?
They did offer a couple of versions of a 3-year contract. I don't think anything added up to 8%, but it didn't matter, because the other problem with a three-year contract is Act 85 requires everybody to go back into negotiations for health care again in 2 years. So we were all looking for a 2-year contract, which is true statewide because of Act 85.
Do you have any plans to go back into negotiations anytime soon, or will this strike go on for a while?
I really have no idea. I really can't gauge. We'll be talking this afternoon within the BEA about things. I'm sure that the board, their lawyers, the mediator are all sort of thinking things through, and as we sort of decide what the next step is, we'll move there. It's unknown right now.
Are the lines of communication with the board open? Like, do you have any way of
Well,
keeping
I
those
think
lines of communication open?
Through our advisors are probably in touch with their advisors, which has always been the case. But right now, they have Joe McNeil, their lawyer, and then David Boulanger, who's with the Vermont NEA, who's our UNISERV director. Otherwise, right now, I don't know that anybody is actually getting in touch with anybody else right now. I think we're just trying to sort of figure out what happened and figure out some strategies.
Were you disappointed the negotiations yesterday didn't go better?
Yeah, I am disappointed. I mean, we had the mayor and Ira Lobel, the mediator, had asked us to come back to the table and hold the strike for a day, and we agreed. The mayor asked it, and we said okay, and we did. So we were hoping that it could get resolved. The mayor was trying to, make things work, and certainly Mr. Lobel was trying to make things work. But as I said, the roadblock was that the school board just didn't seem to listen to the fact that what we were concerned about was that elementary school language that would give teachers the time they needed to do the professional work required to serve the elementary school students of Burlington.
The board said this came down to money. You're saying that's not true?
Yeah.
But you said the economic issues were never resolved.
Well, they haven't been resolved, but we weren't that far apart on it. It's the working condition language for the elementary schools is the issue that was not really addressed by the board last night, and it's been on the table since last negotiations.
So you're striking over the elementary school language?
It may sound petty to you, but it really feeds the issue of getting the right kinds of services, the right kind of education to the elementary school children. If they don't get the education at their level, then they're never going to get caught up, and that achievement gap just gets wider. The elementary school teachers need to have time to provide the professional services to those children, and increasingly we are working with pedagogy and all that's one-on-one, that's child-based and student-directed, and that all requires time to plan, to develop the different strategies you need for each child and what their learning needs and abilities are. We need time, and that's what we need to institute at the elementary school level. That's what we have agreed that we would study how to more effectively use the school day time at the high school level. The elementary school, again, the plan goes back almost 5 years. We've studied it. We had pilot programs of it. The fact finder said, yeah, it's ready to be implemented. And it's reached a dead end with the administration and the school board.
Strike so early in the school year due to the flow of the educational process? Is it particularly disruptive? I mean, some of these kids really just came back and they're already out of class.
Yeah, we know that. And a strike any time of the year is disruptive. Hopefully we will be back soon enough that we can do some catching up and move forward.
Kids started school today. What would you tell parents out there?
Well, parents need to get any information about the schools they have to get from the school district. In terms of what we're doing, we would like the strike to end, but again, we need the board to come back to the table really ready and seriously listen to us. Parents should talk to their school board members. Those board members were elected by the citizens of Burlington, so the citizens of Burlington have to talk to their elected officials.
Fran, you've been negotiating for months regarding this contract. You can explain to us why the kindergarten and elementary school teachers need the time, the one-on-one time. Why do you think the school board members will not discuss this or are blocking the idea?
I don't really know. What I can tell you is that one of the problems that the district is facing is that we've had a lot of cuts over the last 3 years. We've had cuts in programs, which means we've had cuts in faculty and other staff, paraeducators, and there's been an effort to have things covered by a smaller faculty and staff stretching us thinner. So we've got some elementary school classes, kindergarten classes of like 22, 23 children with one teacher. We've got EL, English language learning classes. One teacher has a caseload of over 40 students. That's way too many at the primary grade level for a single teacher to be handling, but we've lost faculty and staff over the last, certainly the 3 years, the cuts that have been made. And that's caused disruptions. It's caused us to lose programs that were established and were serving some of our most vulnerable students. So we're now, the district is trying to fill those holes. And we don't have enough faculty and staff perhaps to do everything, but that's why we have to stop already and take a stand that we need to make sure that we have the right kind of staffing, that the teachers have the time needed to do their work professionally and appropriately and in a way that will in fact benefit the students.
If all the teachers in the district are on strike, where's everybody else today?
Again, you'd have to check with the district on what the district has asked. They would know whether they've asked the paraeducators are not on our contract. They have their own contract, which is right now actually in negotiations. And so the district, I don't know what they've asked, whether the paras needed to come.
You have 400 teachers in your membership, right?
Correct.
Behind you
We
is
probably
like
BEA
50.
represents about 400 teachers.
So just wondering where all the other teachers are.
Oh, they're at their own schools.
So having demonstrations at both.
Yeah, demonstrating at the schools where they teach. Yeah.
How do they determine, because there was sort of a memo the other day about if you choose to go on strike, you won't get paid. If you show up, you will, but if school's out, how does that work?
We have made the Vermont NEA lawyers aware of what these memos have said, and they're giving us responses as to how we handle it, which all becomes sort of internal and with our membership as to how we sort of handle those legal issues. Basically, right now, we just want that board back talking with us so we can get the appropriate kind of education provided to the students of Burlington. And those other matters, we leave to the lawyers because we don't want them bored.
Program that's been cut.
I'm sorry?
Can you provide an example of a program that's been cut?
At the high school level, over the last 3 years, we had what's called the Aspire program, which was a support program for students who needed help with reading and math, reading, writing, and math skills. On Top and Horizons, they're two separate programs that, again, at the high school level, that were designed. Each one, they're different, but they serve different segments of our student population who don't function well in a regular classroom and need alternative educational path to succeed. Those programs have been cut back and we've lost a number of faculty from those programs. At the elementary school level, we've lost, again, some faculty and paraeducators, which have made classes bigger and which have created some serious problems in terms of the delivery of education to EL classes and to special ed, which also then affects all the children.
So those employees are departing and then the district isn't rehiring, or are they cutting positions?
There's a combination of cutting back programs, which leads to cutting positions, and then also to sort of do some consolidation, and in some cases, if someone has left, not replacing them. It's sort of been a full bag. But what we have seen in the last, again, the 100 teachers, about 64 something of the 100 teachers who have left in the last sort of 2 years, 64, they didn't retire, right? There were groups that retired as well, and you always have people who are reaching retirement age. But a number of the other schools in the region, Essex, CVU, some of the elementary schools in the county have hired our people away. And some of those folks who have left us in the last couple of years, some of them have even taken lower salaries at these other schools just to get out of the Burlington school system. This does not bode well for the Burlington school system.
So, are all BEA members teachers?
The Burlington Education Association represents all teachers, all people who are licensed, hold teaching licenses from the Agency of Education. So it also includes librarians, nurses, school nurses, speech language pathologists, some of those specialty positions. And then also the BEA represents the para-educators as well.
They have a separate bargaining unit?
They have a separate, they negotiate a separate contract, but it's under the Burlington Education Association.
Okay, and when you talk about those 100 people who have left over the last 4 years...
2 years. 100 people have left over the last 2 years.
Bob Church said last night that it was since May 2014. So, and the BEA Works website that's posted talking about the 64 resignations says since May 2014. So that's what I was going with. But
that's about 2.5. Because this is 2017. And this is 2017. We can look
Anyways, so the people who have left during that period, have you compared that to the previous number of years? Like, is that normal turnover? Do you know if that's normal turnover?
The number of people who have quit the Burlington schools, taking other jobs, leaving the profession, it has been high this last couple of years. If you look at number of people who have left the district over a longer period, what you will see are some peaks where we've had big surges of retirement because you've got a whole group of teachers who all came into the profession at the same time and they all reached retirement age. Those peaks and valleys are relatively normal when you have, large groups of people who leave because they're all at retirement age and can get their full retirement. So it's tricky in terms of doing a comparison because our concern is that we are losing people not to ordinary retirement, which could be, sort of higher in certain years than others, but it's the number of folks who are leaving because they're just they've worn out. They just can't teach in this district anymore.
And how have you tracked how many people are leaving for that reason?
Well, we've started tracking it because it's become a trend.
Well, how are you tracking it?
We're talking to the people who are leaving to find out why they're leaving.
So how many of those 64 resignations?
64.
All 64 resignations?
They've all left to get either other jobs in other places or have left the profession because they just couldn't work in Burlington anymore. They were just tired of the problems here.
With them that that's because of the way the district's handling the teachers' time.
Are you suggesting that it's not true? We've talked to these people. We work with these people. We know the kind of pressure they're under because we're all under this pressure, which is why we're standing here today. We are very much aware of the issues that this district has. And what is true is that you will probably not get this answer from the administration or the school board. We know that. Because
some of them left to get better pay.
no, some have gone to other jobs taking less pay. Some people are taking jobs where they have a longer commute because they wanted out of Burlington.
All 64 left for those reasons.
You're not listening to me. 64 people have left, not for retirement, but to take jobs elsewhere or to leave the profession. Some of those people have gone to jobs where they're earning less, where they have a longer commute. It's a mix of reasons. The common thread is they wanted out of the Burlington School District. Any other questions? Thank you.